Shalom. Before I get started with this lesson, I want to give all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, HaKodash. Double honors to my apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught me this truth and that rule well. And peace and salutation to the elect that's out here laboring in all truth and sincerity. To USA Shalom. So, brother, I'm on Ariel from the GMS Charlotte camp, coming back with another Lord willing, edifying lesson to feed the elect of the nation of Israel. And pretty much, I just wanted to do this quick, news and prophecy through the spirit, and just go in on how we see Esau Edom is beginning to turn up, the evils that he's bringing into the earth. All right, with these tariffs that Trump has now caused to go into effect. All right, we're starting to see the squeeze become even tighter on the American people. Okay, and as he has been slashing all these different jobs, these government programs, and the people are feeling you know the squeeze, man. All right, and it is getting bad. All right, so I just want to grab this quick opening scripture, which inspired the title. All right, this is Ezekiel chapter 7, verse 5. It says, "For thus saith the Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, an evil and only evil, behold, is come." All right, and what is that evil? You know, the bad times that Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai is allowing Esau Edom to bring. Okay, and a Trump, which is that cruel Lord, and as we've been going into, is the perfect pawn for Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai to bring hell upon you stupid people out here, man. Because mainly talking about you Israelites, you so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans that still think shit's sweet out here. That you don't understand the time that we're living in. There's a video. Lord willing, I'll do a lesson on that one as well. But it was a video showing the exact mindset of the people right now. It was a video of the caption was we're in the end times, and then it was Jake that was fucking dancing, you know, dancing their life away, man, not even realizing that hey, this thing is going to affect you. And we're starting to see that, more and more. Okay. Now, this article, came out earlier today, and I thought it was pretty funny because hey, Trump is pretty much telling you people that to shut the fuck up and deal with what's coming because you've been seeing a lot of complaints, coming from the Americans. Like, look, we're already struggling. These tariffs that's he's putting on all these countries is gonna increase the hell that we already have over here as far as people are already struggling to stay afloat. All right, they're making life decisions on what bills to pay. You know, people are becoming homeless. It's all type of things that's happening, and this came out. And I thought this was hilarious. So it says JD Vance tells paycheck to paycheck Americans to suck up tariffs pain. All right. So pretty much they're saying shut the fuck up and deal with it. Okay. And this is why I said evils and only evils is come because hey, the Lord is going to continue to increase these bad times on the earth. All right, because we are in a time to where straight up hell is about to hit America like never before. Okay, this place has made these people increasingly proud to where they never thought, the struggles that you see these third world countries deal with. You're going to see, hit the American soul as we're already beginning to see now. Okay, another quick one. This is Second Ezra, chapter 8, verse 50. It says, "For many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter time shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride." And this, this is perfect for all these, these bozo ass Americans that don't know what the hell is going on, man. You know, and y'all voted for Trump. Y'all got Trump, and Trump is doing the exact biddings of the elite, which is to pretty much put the American people in such a tight bond to where it's going to be damn near impossible for you to pretty much be able to live, and there's going to be an economic collapse to where they're gonna crash this system and make it to where they are gonna bail you out with that implantable device. All right, as we're seeing them set up this digital system, this is all plans to bring that in, man. You know, so many great miseries await all you jakes out here that forsook Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, man, forsook his prophets that was warning you of these things to come, because the apostles and elders and elder bishops and brothers that's been in this thing, for some time now, have been warning you for years about this great economic change that's about to take place, man. Okay, so as you read here, it says the vice president also claimed families will soon have more money to deal with the cost of inflation. All right, we play this.
Dollar Shave Club.
Excuse the ad.
And I know a lot of MAGA folks, a lot of Americans that are cheering the president on, especially when he takes it to other countries. They feel like we've been screwed for a long time. But I also know people that come from our background, they're living paycheck to paycheck. And they want to do the patriotic duty of taking it to these other countries, but it's going to hit them a little bit. They feel. What can you tell the American people that they just can't afford an extra $3 here and there? About the government making up the difference from them. Will costs go up at some point? Will this just be temporary? Are we talking 3 months or 6 months?
Well, we certainly hear, and I appreciate, how I grew up in a family that often did live paycheck to paycheck. We know a lot of Americans, so we are fighting very hard to bring prices down. We're going to have the biggest deregulation in the history of this country. We're doing a lot of things and already have done a lot of things to lower the cost of energy. You heard the president mention this yesterday. Eggs, when we came in, we're at a 10-year high, and all of a sudden they've dropped 60% just in the 2 months of the Trump administration. What I ask folks to appreciate here is that we're not going to fix things overnight. Joe Biden left us, this is not an exaggeration, Lawrence, with the largest peacetime debt deficit in the history of the United States of America, with sky-high interest rates. You don't fix that stuff overnight. We know people are struggling. We're fighting as quickly as we can to fix what was left to us. But it's not going to happen immediately. But we really do believe that if we pursue the right deregulation, we pursue those energy cost-reducing policies, yes, people are going to see it in their pocketbook. They're also going to benefit from the fact that foreign countries can't take advantage of us anymore. That means their jobs are going to be more secure.
I don't think you can talk about the tariffs, and not talk about the tax cuts as well that we're expecting. Is this to offset some of the cuts that we plan on expecting? Will this be a permanent measure, or are we thinking when it comes to the scoring of this bill, we're going to be able to get cuts as a result of this?
I wouldn't think of tax cuts as a way to offset the tariffs. Here's the way that I think about it is, again, for 40 years, we've had an economy that rewards people who ship American jobs overseas and raises taxes on American workers, and we're flipping that on its head. We're going to cut taxes for American workers and for American companies that build here. We're going to make it harder to ship American jobs overseas. It's a total shift in the way that we've done economic policy in the United States of America, but it was necessary. So yeah, we're going to cut your taxes. You're going to have more money in your pocket, and that's, of course, going to help you deal with the cost of inflation. But that's not about offsetting the tariffs. They work together. We want to penalize people for shipping our jobs overseas. We want to reward hardworking Americans. It's all part of the same policy.
Yeah, man, and this devil, working that witchcraft, because here it is. He did all that, talking, but when you see what's actually going on, all right, in the country, they're doing the exact opposite of what he's saying, okay? Because just using the egg thing as an example, that was a blatant lie, because under Biden, eggs were affordable. And as soon as Trump gets in, you're seeing all these videos, and hey, you can go out into your average store, man, and see that eggs are increasing more and more, all right? This is probably the most expensive eggs have been, in a good while, man. All right, so that shows you that these devils are just blatant liars, man. Because what they'll do is get up on these TVs and these interviews and spew out a bunch of rhetoric, like Trump did whenever he was in office the first time. Got on stage and was boasting about all these jobs that he was creating, how he was the unemployment rate was dropping. But then when you looked at the statistics, it was the very opposite of what he was bragging and boasting about. So the second term is no different. He's doing the same thing, man. All right. So you can't be, fooled by what you're hearing these devils say on these interviews, because at the end of the day, this is nothing more than witchcraft to continue to lull you dummies to sleep that still believe in this, in this cabinet, in this whole politics situation, man. All right. This is witchcraft, man. All right. This is Psalms chapter 60, Psalms chapter 52 and verse 2. It says, "Thy tongue deviseth mischiefs like a sharp razor working deceitfully. Thou lovest evil more than good, and lying rather than to speak righteousness to lie." Right. It says, "Thy tongue deviseth mischiefs like a sharp razor working deceitfully," because here it is. He was telling, Trump and Vance was telling you all these great plans about how they're going to bring America, back, to prominence ever since Biden, got out of office. All right. They go in and bash how bad Biden made the country. But then as soon as they get in, they made the country even more in a shitty situation as they're continuing to fire all these people with these government jobs. All right, that these tariffs that they're claiming is going to, hurt the enemy states, countries, whatever, more than the Americans. But the Americans are going to feel the brunt of what these tariffs are meant to impose. So everything about what they're doing is a blatant lie, man. All right, but it's being done like this on purpose. Okay, verse 3, it says, "Thou lovest evil more than good, and lying rather than to speak righteousness to lie." And Jacob is continually being baffled and fooled by the devil and his lies, man. Okay, it says, "Thou lovest all devouring words, O thou deceitful tongue." And Esau knows that he can just get on stage and just say whatever he feels like, because it's going to go over the heads of many, because people aren't looking at the after effects or the long-term effects of what these things that's being done. And we see, all right, all this is nothing more than a plan, all right, for them to continue to bring, this economic collapse so that they can have a reason to crash this current system and bring forth this new digital system, which they have, showing how they've invested, millions of dollars in, man. All right. So I'll read a little bit more of this. All right. It says, JD Vance is telling Americans living paycheck to paycheck that the pain from President Trump's sweeping tariffs will be all worth it at some point. And, this is another lie, okay? Because the things are only going to get worse from here. As I said, man, evils and only evils are on the horizon, man. Okay, Yahweh Shem Yahushua, this is his doing, all right? And scripture tell you there's no peace to the wicked. There's nothing good coming to you wicked ass people out here, man. All right. It says Trump's rollout of the highest U.S. tariffs in a century have already inflicted damage on the U.S. economy, sending stocks plummeting and piling pressure on the dollar Thursday and fueling fears of a looming global recession. But then on the other hand, they had the nerve to label, that the day that the tariffs, went into effect, they called it Liberation Day. Let me see if I can bring that up real quick. Liberia. All right, so it says key takeaways from Trump's Liberation Day tariffs. It says Donald Trump on Wednesday unveiled expansive new tariffs in a major escalation of his trade war, referring to the historic move as a declaration of economic independence. And what this is literally doing, all right, is isolating America from the rest of the world. So, hey, what it is this place is going to end up being boxed in, because as he's alienating America from the rest of the countries, all right, from the rest of their allies, man, okay, America is going to be left, pretty much on an island to where it is the rest of the world, all right, is going to be cut off from here. This is pretty much a modern day 70 AD that we're seeing taking place, man. Okay. It says Trump's risky bet to address unfair trade practices could send prices higher for American consumers and weaken economic growth, according to new economists. So it's irony this is supposed to be Liberation Day, right? And look at what's on the horizon. It says using national emergency powers, Trump announced 10% tariffs on all imports in the United States and even higher tariffs of goods from about 60 countries or trading blocs that have a high trade deficit with the U.S. That includes China and the European Union, which will be levied new duties of 34% and 20% respectively. It says Trump's latest actions represent the most significant escalation in U.S. tariffs in nearly a century since the Smoot-Hawley Act of 1930, but the trade spat doesn't end there. Foreign countries, including longtime U.S. allies, says Trump's tariff won't go unanswered, setting the stage for a global tit-for-tat trade war that could quickly spiral out of control. Such a development would only fuel inflation further and weigh on U.S. consumers, many of whom are already on the ropes. Trump's Liberation Day announcement did little to clear the dense fog of uncertainty, and even more tariffs by sector are coming down this pipe, senior White House officials said Wednesday on a call with reporters. Right. So as it was saying, foreign countries, including longtime U.S. allies, says Trump tariffs won't go unanswered, and we're seeing that because what has happened in the midst of all that, you had China and Japan. All right, they joined forces against Trump, man. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. Join forces against Japan. Join forces against Trump. Salakia. All right, so now you got Moab and Ammon, all right, forming an alliance. Okay, this is from Reuters.com. China, Japan, South Korea will jointly respond to U.S. tariffs, Chinese state media says. So, hey, Esau Edom is bringing forth these, these different things that's pretty much, like I said, is isolating America to where the American citizens are going to feel it worse than anybody else, man, because we're seeing the Lord begin to cause America to be isolated from the world, so that when World War III takes place, man, this place isn't going to have any help, all right, and that's just adding more fuel, all right, to have these other nations, which were once allies with America, to turn and to pretty much shoot missiles on this place, man. Grab this real quick. This is Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 2. It says, "Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised." Right. And Trump was already, isolating America through his first term. All right, how he would go in them UN meetings and was blatantly disrespecting these other nations and talking shit like we saw with I believe it was the WHO, the WHO, the World Health Organization. He pretty much pulled America, out of the deal they had with them, because he felt like that they weren't these different countries weren't holding their end of the bargain when it came to that. So he withdrew from that, amongst other things, man. All right, so that pride that Esau Edom is showing forth to the rest of the world is really biting him in the ass, because, like I said, he's isolating himself from the rest of the world, man. All right, and the American people are going to feel the brunt of that, in the end. Okay, so just going. I can keep going on this. Verse 3: "The pride of thine heart have deceived thee, thou that dwelleth in the cleft of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground?" Because, like I said, man, Esau and that pride, all right, they are boasting themselves more and more to be, this great superpower that's never going to come out of power, and it's coincidental that right before Biden left office, that they but officially named the eagle as the official symbol for America. All right, and we know, dealing with that eagle, all right, that's the most highest flying bird, of all the avian family, because the eagles have a proud look onto themselves, because when they're flying, they're able to look down upon the rest of the the rest of the animals, man. And that's essentially how Trump is doing with America. All right, how these Edomites are puffed up. Okay, so hey, the Lord did a beautiful thing by setting up this devil Trump. All right, and we're seeing the byproduct of what Yahweh Shem Yahushua is doing with that, man. Okay, this is Isaiah chapter 9, 19 and 4. It says, "And the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord of hosts." Right, and that cruel Lord is dealing with Trump, man. Okay, because everything that he's doing is pretty much going to backfire on the American, population as a whole. Okay, because this was a comment that was made. Let me see. Pull it back up. Slovakia. Give me a second. All right, so this comment reads, "You are slowly being locked into your own country. The narrative is that you are locking out unwanted people, but the reality is you are being systematically isolated from the rest of the world, not just through news outlets, media, and other digital communications, but physically through closed borders, reduced access to air and land travel, and reduced access to resources that will facilitate relocation. Not sure it's easy for you to see from the inside, or if it's as obvious to you as it is to the rest of us, but it can't be good. Be safe, right?" And that's what's going on, man. Because here it is, amidst all this other stuff you're seeing. All right, it's travel bans that's being, that's being pushed as well. Let me pull that up. It's a lot of things that's going on right now. Okay, so this was a protest that happened March 26th. It was a more recent one. Hold on. Let me just send this to myself. This is the same one. Let me make sure. Willow and Chip. Salakia. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure it's the same one. All right. So this is from ABC 7 Chicago. It says immigration advocates rally downtown Chicago over possible Trump administration travel ban. All right. So like this comment read, okay, a Trump is literally, locking the people in. All right, which is prophecy, man. All right, because he's using the immigrants as an excuse, okay, to pretty much issue these travel bans. They're talking about locking the border up so that foreign people can't get in and out. But ultimately, what they're doing is locking the American people inside the country, as well as isolating America from the rest of the world, to where, like I said, it's going to be like 70 AD, to where nobody get out or get in. All right, and they're already limiting the food, the different everyday necessities. So you got the travel bans, you got a manufacturer famine. All these things are being put in place because they're about to wage war on the American people. All right, so it's a lot of things that's going on, and the average everyday person isn't realizing the long-term effects of what this man is doing to this country. All right. And like I said, this is all prophecy that's taking place, man. Okay, this is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 15, and verse, I start at 14. It says, "Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands." All right, because it's going to be, different class wars, race wars, or whatnot. All right, because the people, as necessities, grow scarce. All right, times are getting harder. All right, because hey, what we're seeing, amidst all these different things, all right, like I said, people are losing work. All right, they're losing access to certain goods. Grab that real quick, and I'll come back to the scripture. It's getting hard out here, man. So you don't think people are going to eventually, take up, means for themselves and start, going after each other? Because look, the protests and the riots are only going to go so far before the people take, problems into their own hands. All right. So I just want to grab this video from the brother Ara from GMS Virginia. All right, this page GMS Spiritual War, but it says massive federal job cuts, millions behind on their mortgages and rents, etc. It's over. All right, let's play a little bit of this.
Cuts is hitting the federal workforce today. The Trump administration is set to slash around 10,000 jobs across the agencies of the Department of Health and Human Services. HHS is massive, overseeing 13 agencies, including the Centers for Disease Control, the Food and
Drug. And I want to add, because this is, a lot of you proud ass people in these, with these federal jobs, these government jobs, and the Lord is getting at y'all first, man. Because like I said, you having these high positions in these, different jobs, man, that has put a lot of pride into you to where you look down on the rest of the people. Now, look, you are the main ones being targeted, all right, during this hostile takeover, man, and him putting Elon Musk, in that, and Doge, as a part of his administration, man, he's been getting at you people, man, so like I said, evils and more evils are on the horizon, man.
Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services and the National Institutes of Health. Some staff at the NIH office in Maryland lined up outside that building today, waiting to get inside and see if they were still employed there.
Some breaking news to tell you as we're learning the Trump administration is planning to cut 80,000 employees from Veterans Affairs. That's just into our newsroom. And here's what we know right now. The Department of Veterans Affairs is planning an aggressive reorganization that includes cutting 80,000 jobs from the agency that provides health care for retired military members.
A rally in Davenport job cuts to Veterans Affairs, pushing back against proposed job cuts to Veterans Affairs and the suicide crisis there.
So two new reports just came out on housing delinquency across the country. So two new reports just came out on housing delinquency across the country. 5.89 million renter households behind on rental payments and 2 million renters fear eviction. HUD's report also said that we have 4.87 million homeowners across the country behind on their mortgage payments and 1 million fear foreclosure in the next 2 months. Foreclosure in the next 2 months. However, Deeds.com just came out with an article that said we have 9.4 million renters behind on their rental payments and 6.6 million homeowners behind on mortgages right now. So where do you stand on this? I'm always going to lean towards the higher side. So I agree that we probably have almost 10 million renters behind and probably almost 10 million homeowners.
So on March, I want to say it was 12th, I logged into my Nelnet. That's my service provider that my federal loan is with. I logged on to make my payment like I normally do, and I didn't think anything of it. And I saw the amount of $277.89 there, and for whatever reason that day I looked at my payment schedule and saw that my payment had increased to $746.73. So that was almost a jump of $500, and I just stared at my screen in shock. I couldn't believe what I was looking at. I thought I was seeing things. They basically told me that with the injunction that the current administration had put in place, we would not be able to recertify, and that this was what we had to do as far as payment was concerned. They did offer a couple of repayment options, but none of those options had anything where the payments were affordable. I was extremely frustrated. I was angry because I'm in my head, I'm trying to calculate how am I going to be able to make this payment along with my other student loans. And of course, you have life that you have that has finances as well. Start thinking about your credit score and other things. And I want to buy my house, and I'm going to have to put that on hold and ultimately go into some sort of So it was a lot of anger and frustration trying to figure out how to pay it. So it was a lot of anger and frustration. You have budgets in place and you plan for those. I didn't plan for an almost $500 increase. But I just saw 2 days ago that they are now able to make online applications available for income-driven repayment plans, which I didn't know. So I was able to do an application online. Just seeing so many people comment.
You know, and hey, it's only gonna get worse and worse, man. Okay, hey, this is showing you why at the end of the day, man, our people need to detach and come back into Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, man, because hey, through the Lord is how we're gonna be able to survive when all this shit really goes down, man. All right, because here it is, all these videos is coming out of all these jobs that's being cut. These videos, these articles, these jobs are being cut. You know, goods are being cut, and people are wondering how are we supposed to live, which is why at the end of the day we need Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, man. Okay, that's the end all be all. Is we need the Lord to be able to take care of us. But as you see, this woman has the mindset of everybody else out here. They're completely oblivious of thinking about the Lord in this time. Like I say, here it is, all this shit is going on where the cost of living is crazy, and this motherfucker talking about she trying to buy a house still. Look, that shouldn't even be your mindset. Your mindset should be, I need the Lord. Lord, how am I gonna make this? You know, how am I gonna survive, man? But these people don't think about that, you know, and that's why at the end of the day, man, as we read earlier, 2nd Ezra 8:50. All right, because of that great pride, man, you people are going to be doomed. You know, you're going to see great miseries because of your pride of thinking that you can do this on your own. And really what it is they're trusting in Esau. All right. Hey, they're going to go to Esau for that aid, and they're going to see that there is no aid, because that's what he's doing, is cutting all these government programs, that these grants, you know, and everything else, because he wants to put you people in such a squeeze to where you have no choice but to come to him, which the only solution he's going to give you in that time is that chip, man. So all these things are being done purposely to make it to where you feel like you have no way out. And then he's going to present, you know, the greatest okie-doke to you know, fool you people into thinking that's a way out, which is that chip, which is going to lead you to be destroyed, man. You know? So, you know, just playing that, I wanted to go back to 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter, because this is all the starving out of the American people. All right, starving them out with no food, and like I said, as far as, you know, everything else, man. So you're going to be left totally destitute by the time Trump's done, you know, dealing with you people. Okay, so let's go back. 2nd Ezra chapter 15, and I read 19 again. That's like 19, 16 again. It says, "For there shall be sedition among men." Sedition. All right. Let's get that word real quick. All right. Sedition. It says rebellion, uprising, revolt, factitious commotion in the state, a concerted attempt to overthrow civil authority, violent strife between factions, civil or religious disorder, riot, rebelliousness against authority. And so right now is protest. As you see, immigration advocates rally downtown in Chicago over possible Trump administration travel ban. So it's going to go from quote unquote peaceful protests to all out riots to a martial law is eventually going to have to be declared, because it's going to get so bad out here to these people, they're going to lose it. All right. Esau is forcing the people to pretty much be in such a bad state to where they're literally going to lose it, which is going to, you know, then grant him the right to reestablish order, which is going to be through martial law, to where that's just another building block to bring in this police state, man. All right. So continuing on, it says, "A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able," because it's going to eventually go from nobody being able to, you know, come into the country to where nobody's going to be able to leave out of whatever section that you have been, you know, placed in, because you got to remember, Esau Edom has split up America into the 10 FEMA zones, man. All right, so it's gonna come a point to where they're gonna block off all the major highways, the back roads, to where the area that you're in, you're gonna be stuck there, man. Which is what you're hearing, talks to these 15-minute cities, these smart cities. That this is all part of that digital system that they're slowly bringing in, man. So all these things that we're going into are building blocks to prepare you for this shift change that we're about to see take place, man. All right. It says, because of their pride, the city shall be destroyed. That's like it. The city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. Okay, because people aren't going to know how they're going to be able to survive, because things are going to get so bad to the point to where it's going to be like in that movie, The Dark Knight. Really the two, because the one with the Joker and the one with Bane, because the one with Joker showed the I forget what you can look it up, but the one with Joker, the Heath Ledger, Joker, showed you that when put in a bind, that people will pretty much turn into beast. All right, and then the one that came afterwards, I believe, was the Dark Knight with Joker, and then the Dark Knight Rises, the one with Bane, and the one with Bane, when they overthrew, all right, the order in the city. All right, Gotham pretty much became a criminal, a free for all, man. All right, to where the people was taking, matters into their own hands. All right, and there was, pronouncing judgment on these, government officials. All right, the city went into total chaos, man, and that's what Esau Edom wants to happen, which is why he's doing all these things to pretty much make life hard and as bad as hell, so that we'll lose it. All right, which the scriptures will tell you that. Which I'm gonna grab this real quick, and then I'm gonna finish that out. This is Matthew 24:12. It says, and because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax colder. And you look up that word wax cold, it goes into psycho. All right, so because iniquity, all right, because sin is going to be so bad out here, all right, these people that already don't have any morale in themselves, man, all right, it's going to get so bad out here, the people are going to be doing all type of crazy shit. This is why they showed you movies like The Purge. All right, The Purge is what they're wanting society to get to. Okay, because when you look at who was behind The Purge, it was the elites. That's why you had I want to say there was the one, I never watched it, but I saw the previews of it. I've only seen a couple of the Purge movies. I want to say it was Founding Fathers or something like that. Let me see if I can. Purge. I don't remember what movie they showed it in. It might have been Anarchy, but the people behind The Purge, it was called the New Founding Fathers of America, or NFFA. And it says they were a political organization that established the annual Purge event, a 12-hour period where all crime became legal, and as a means of social control to stabilize society. And just going into a little bit more detail, it said this is the political party that rises to power after an economic collapse and social unrest, forming a totalitarian government and a police state. And this is what America is eventually headed to. Okay. And Trump and his administration is going to be the ones that's going to bring it in. All right. So with that being said, he's allowing society to get to the point to where the people are going to lose it and take matters into their own hands. All right. So going back to 2nd Ezra 15:19, it says, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. All right. And so people are going to be, breaking into each other's houses. They're going to be, robbing, killing people, to be able to make it so they have to survive, man. Friends are going to turn on each other and all that, man. So it's going to be an extremely bad time out here, man. And like I said, this is all being done on purpose because Esau Edom eventually wants it to get to the point to where they have a reason to, do away with this current way that the world is going and bring in that new way. All right. And like I said, all these steps are being put in place. All right. To show you that this is the direction the world is going. Okay. This was from Yahoo Finance. Larry Fink, which is I believe he's the CEO of BlackRock. It says Larry Fink says Bitcoin could replace the dollar as the world's reserve currency because of national debt. And you understand, what this means. They're ready to bring forth this blockchain to where they have, the ability to track all transactions that's being done on the earth, man. All right. This is the beginning stages of this MOTB infrastructure to where the Bitcoin is eventually going to lead to the RFID chip. Okay. It's going to start out with the digital currency, and it's all going to, go from cash, to that app, to a chip. Okay. Because don't forget about the Fed now, but all these things are being done to ensnare you into this digital prison. All right. I'll read a little bit of this. It says BlackRock CEO Larry Fink warns that America's rise in national debt could threaten the dollar's status as the world's reserve currency, because we know the the USD, all right, it is, the petrodollar is pretty much worthless at this point, man. All right. And all these different countries doing away with the petrodollar, man. It's finished. So the dollar, the American dollar is being destabilized more and more every day. It says potentially leading to decentralized assets like Bitcoin taking its place. He and Bridgewater's Ray DeLeo cautioned that if the U.S. fails to manage its debt, global confidence in the U.S. treasuries may collapse, triggering economic instability and a shift toward alternative financial systems. And think about it, America's not going to be able to manage its debt, man, because it was made to be like that so that it could be, it could be done away with, man. All right, this was all a plan from the jump. This is why they formed, the FDR, the Federal Reserve System, man. All right, because this money, all right, isn't backed by nothing, man. Get that real quick. So this is Salakia. That's not the one I want. Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 6. It says, shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. All right, when you go into this word, thick clay, I believe the Hebrew word is ibatya, where it says a weight of pledges or heavy debts. All right, and this system was set up to be pretty much a debt-based economy, to where, hey, this place it's impossible for it to get out of debt. When you look at the U.S. debt clock, all right, hey, America is in trillions of dollars in debt, and make it so bad so that debt clock isn't even all the way accurate. All right, it's worse than what you see on that, man. They just had to put a number so that the people can see it, but it's actually worse than that, man. All right, so going to where I originally was going to pull, all right, this is Ezekiel chapter 13, verse 10. Because they have seduced my people, saying peace, and there was no peace, and one built up a wall, and lo, others dabbed it with untempered mortar, right? And that's what Trump promised, all right, the people, man, a peace, all right. That's why you saw, during this election, all right, all these jakes that was crying, all right, 4 years ago for Biden to replace Trump and fix the country, all right, after 4 years of straight nastiness and fuckery under the Biden administration, all right, our people cried, to Trump, all right, to get back in, all right. And now that they got Trump, all right, he's promised them all these different things about how he's going to make the country better again. He's going to bring, peace to the Americas, to the Americans, more jobs, more opportunity for them to, chase the American dream and all that bullshit. Well, we see how that's working out now, right? It says, say unto them, was dab it with untempted mortar, that it shall fall. There shall be an overflowing shower, and yea, O great hailstones shall fall, and a stormy wind shall rend it, right? And to prove that that's the case, because when you go into the effect that them terrorists had, all right, I'm not even going to read the article. I'm going to just read the title of it. Some APnews.com. It says, Trump's new tariff lead to the biggest Dow wipeout since 2020. All right, so it's been nothing but just straight downward spiral for America, man. All right. It says, lo, when that wall is fallen, it shall it not be said unto you, where is the dabbing wherewith ye have dabbed it? Yeah, where's all this these promises that Trump, brought in that was supposed to help the Americans, you was gonna, bring them out of the debt that Biden put them in. You brought them into a worse situation, man. Therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, I will even rend it with a stormy wind in my fury, and there shall be an overflowing shower in mine anger, and great hailstones in my fury to consume it. So the Lord is bringing that hell, all right? Like I said, that evil is continually, pushing on you people more and more and more, all right? And these terrorists are part of that hailstone, because that's what's, adding to the debt that America is continually, hoarding to itself, okay? Because these people can't survive like this, man, And here it is, we damn near, like I said, living paycheck to paycheck. And then, like I said, that first article I put on the screen, hey, this nigga Vance say, hey, just shut up and deal with it, man. It says, verse 14, so I will break down the wall that you have dabbed with untempted mortar, and bring it down to the ground, so that the foundation thereof shall be discovered, and it shall fall, and ye shall be consumed in the midst thereof, and ye shall know that I am the Lord. This is why I said earlier, all right, the pride of our people, to where they've trusted so much in this American system, to where the Lord is breaking it down on purpose to make it to where you need to repent and seek his face. But Jake is doing that, man. Okay, Jake is doubling down and thinking that this devil has their best interests at heart. They're continually being shown that they're misplaced their trust, man. All right. 2nd Esdras 9:9. Then shall they be in pitiful case, which now have abused my ways, and they that have cast them away despitefully shall dwell in torments. Okay, and Jake has been in a pitiful case, but they have been given the illusion that things are better because Esau has allowed them to have these, these cushy jobs, have, a leg up in this society to where they were able to live comfortable. But hey, now the Lord is visiting you with these torments, man. For such as in their life have received benefits and have not known me, and they that have loathed my law while they yet had liberty, and when yet as a place of repentance was open to them, understood not, but despised it. Yeah, so here it is. The prophets, have been out here warning you people that, look, these things are going to get worse and worse and worse. You need to repent and seek the Lord. We get backlash for that, man. And the people hate hearing about the Bible. They don't want to hear about economic collapse. I don't want to hear about America pretty much, going the way of all these other ancient kingdoms and being destroyed. They love it here, man. So they hate what we're saying, and they hate the Lord for what he's doing, man. But it says the same must know it after death by pain, because the Lord's going to show you that you misplaced your trust in this devil, man. All right, which you read about that in Isaiah the 30th chapter, man. All right, well, I might as well get that. We have a few more scriptures, and I'm gonna end it. This is Isaiah chapter 30:1. Woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me. Yeah, you so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, you are the rebellious children that Yahweh Shem Shai is directing this message to, man. All right, and you taking the counsel, but not of him. It is you looking for covering amongst all these different things of the world, but not in your own power. Okay, that cover what they covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin, because anything outside of Yahweh Shem Shai just it is used to justify your wickedness and your refusal to repent and come back to the Lord, because the Lord requires a certain standard out of his people, and Jake doesn't want to deal with that, which is why they'll go into these different, philosophies and ways of thinking, man. Okay, that go down into Egypt and have not asked at my mouth to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. Right, and we're in modern day Egypt now, man. America, Babylon the Great. This is another name for this, like you read about in Revelation, the 11th chapter, is spiritual Egypt. Okay, our people are still in bondage under the modern day Pharaoh, which is the so-called white man of today. All right. And they're being bamboozled over and over again, man. It says, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion. So as the Lord begins to bring the curtain call on Babylon the Great, all right, Jake is going to find out the hard way that they, like I said, misplaced that trust, man. Because as you see things get worse and worse, instead of going to the Lord and asking for his help, these people are crying for Esau, Edom to lighten the burden. All right, but it's not going to happen. It's as we read about when we was in Egypt the first time. Pharaoh was literally, let me get that. Pharaoh was literally doing the same thing that he did back then, man. Okay. This is what I say he did. He said, deal with it, right? This is the same thing he said now. All right. Damn, where's that? All right, this is Exodus chapter 5 and verse 7. Matter of fact, I'm going to start at 4. Because here it is. We understand that the Lord is calling back his people. And Esau sees that. All right. So he's trying to make everything to the point to where he wants the people to come to him and not to Yahweh Shem Shai. Because he's made the people so carnal to where they don't look to the Lord for help. They look to him. All right. So this is Exodus chapter 5. I'll start at verse 4. And the king of Egypt said unto them, wherefore do ye Moses and Aaron let the people from their work? Get ye unto your burdens. And Pharaoh said, behold, the people of the land now are many, and ye make them rest from their burdens. And Pharaoh commanded the same day the taskmasters of the people and their officers, saying, ye shall no more give the people straw to make brick, as heretofore. Let them go and gather straw for themselves, and the tale of the brick which they did make heretofore, ye shall lay upon them. Ye shall not diminish aught thereof, for they be idle. Therefore they cry, saying, let us go and sacrifice to our God. Let there be more work laid upon them, that they may labor therein, and let them not regard vain words. All right, and that's essentially what Esau Edom is doing now. That article I showed with Vance saying what he said about people living paycheck to paycheck, they deal with it. That's essentially what Pharaoh back then told our people, man. All right, hey, we're not gonna give you straw anymore. All right, we need you to go fetch the straw and continue to build these bricks. All right, and your work better not diminish. This is the same thing, man. That cruel Lord. Okay, that's him enacting that cruelty amongst Israel all over again, man. All right, but see, this should give more credence to Jake to bring their mind out of this place and seek the Lord. But our people are too invested. They're in the matrix, man. Okay. Isaiah chapter 36 and 6. Lo, thou trusteth in the staff of this broken reed on Egypt. Whereunto if a man lean, it will go into his hand and pierce it. So is Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to all that trust in him, right? Because, and we can see America is that broken reed, man. This place is cooked. It's finished, man. There's no healing this place, man. All right. And so here it is, with this place being broken like this, you still got Jake that's trusting in this place, not realizing that the more you try to lean on this place, man, the more this place is going to pierce you to the point to where it's going to be to where you are going to end up taking that microchip, that RFID chip, to where you're going to be made a perpetual slave unto this devil. All right, here it is. We're already slaves, all right, under these corporations that Esau has set up here, America being the ultimate corporation, but these different businesses, all right, having enslaved us. You're going to be made the ultimate slave when Esau puts that microchip inside of you, man. That's the end goal for all this that we're seeing, as I've been going throughout this whole lesson, man. You know? So all you that continue to trust in Esau and have your hopes and dreams still here in America, all right, that's going to, eventually cause you to take that chip, man, and you're going to be destroyed. All right? So, hey, man, hey, seek the Lord while he may be found, man. Hey, that scripture say, man, flee ye out of the midst of Babylon before it's too late, roughly paraphrasing, because the Lord is doing away with this place, man. All right. So with that, I just wanted to bring this out. Lord was edifying. So with that, I want to give all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Hakodash. Double honors to my apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught me this truth and that rule well. And peace and salutation to the elect. Until next time, I say shalom.